right now is the live stream of the 4 astronauts on their way to the launch pad in Florida, where they will, in about 4 hours from now, it's 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time or Eastern Standard Time right now here in Oshawa, Canada, and it's the same time down in Florida. So at about 6:24 p.m., I think tonight is when the window is going to open for these 4 astronauts, and they will be sitting strapped into the spacecraft and the most powerful rocket ever built, as we've been told many times. And they will have a 2-hour window from 6:24 to, I guess, 8:24 to launch, depending on the weather. And I think there will be some other conditions as well that the flight control team will be watching for. But it looks very likely, something like 80 to 85% chance that they will be taking off. And so, okay, we can begin, and we can, let me just, hold on, finally make a check here and see if everything's good. But yeah, I think we can really count on the tech working today. Excellent. Okay, so welcome everyone. Oh, just a second, I'll close the final door, and we'll see. Welcome everyone to our 11th class. And it's a big class today in terms of something that's happening in the world. And it's rare that we get a chance in the classroom to be able to tie what we do in the classroom together with a live event that's happening in the world that is so significant for humanity's destiny. Now, we have covered this topic quite a bit already, space exploration. But today, we're going to continue and finish it, but I'm going to bring in some other topics as well so that we can essentially stick with this really dramatic event unfolding on the big board before us right now, and that is that the Artemis 2, come on in, Ron, Artemis 2, as you may know, is about to launch from its launch pad in Florida in about 4 hours or so from now as I speak. And that's when the window for its launch will open for about 2 hours, and it's expected that by this evening, Eastern Daylight Time, we're going to see something happening over the next few days, possibly even 10 days, that will be historic in terms of the longevity of humans being so far away from the planet. And so it's important that we end space exploration and this whole module, I should say, module. That's what the astronauts are going to be in, a module. But the module, in terms of this section of humanity's destiny, I couldn't resist being able to do this one final class on space exploration with this event. But in this class, we're going to talk about science and religion. We'll talk about legacy. We'll talk about neuroscience a little bit too. But in the weeks to come, I'm going to be moving on for sure. Come on in, Daniel, and we're going to look at those topics more closely. But this is history today, for better or for worse. And so there's something that we need to resolve by the end of today's class, and that is these 3 perspectives that we've been looking at. Should we go? Should we not go? And we must go, which is what I introduced you to last week, are the 3 topics that we're going to finally explain very clearly for Trinity in the notes today. I want to be able to have a good series of cards in the notes today, one titled Why We Should Go, one titled Why We Should Not Go, one titled Why We Must Go, and maybe there's something else that we're missing. But I want the multiple perspectives to be recorded properly in the notes for all of you on this critical aspect of the human future, which is going into space. I also realized that last week, when I said we must go, after we had watched the Carl Sagan Pale Blue Dot video, I don't think I was clear enough in why I said that after you watched the video. And I think it's because I knew more than you did at that time. I've read his book, Pale Blue Dot, and I was thinking about something that he had written about in this book that really drives home the point of why we must go. So I'm going to read that out loud to you so you understand why I said that. Because there were more than one student that said at the end of the class, I think Dimitri and others, that's not exactly what we took from that video. And I just realized I wasn't sure I'd been clear enough. So yes, we're going to get into the cards that we'll do with Trinity a little bit later when we can start moving around. But there's a little documentary I want to show you at the beginning of today's class in its entirety, just 20 minutes, that is really important for you to see. And it will, again, give you a sense of why we must go. And by the end of today's class and by this entire kind of section that we've been doing on space exploration, I think by the end of today's class, you're going to have a really good feeling with such an important event unfolding in real time. What are the different perspectives on the fact that we humans, are planning to go into space more and more in the coming years? And what are the perspectives on the fact that we're actually returning to a time in the 1960s, which for me, as your professor, is filled with all sorts of memory and anticipation and excitement around the fact that we were going to go to the moon in a much more extended way in the 1960s. And then that all ended before we really started to build anything there. And all we did is just step on the moon, come home, and that was it. And then the space program globally, for not just the United States, but Europe and Canada and elsewhere, kind of shifted to other projects. And here we are 53 years later, coming back to something. So already we've got some hands up. Good. But I just take the microphones, okay? Make sure you have the microphones. I just want to make sure that I set this up properly before we jump into it with the students. And I really want to make sure we watch this short documentary together, and I'll explain when I set it up, okay? So who was first here? Ron? Daniel? Okay, so karaoke, turn it on, and go for it.
Hello. Okay, just a quick question.
Yes.
Not to go too much on a tangent here, but I want to know your thoughts. What would you say to those people who believe that was like the moon landings were faked and that they're not real?
What do I say to people like that? Well, it's a fair question. I guess I would say, what would I say to somebody who claims that the Earth is still flat and not actually a sphere or round? I would say that maybe we should look at your sources as to where you're actually thinking that this was a conspiracy. Let's take a close look at your sources, and we might find that in that, your sources fall apart. But, I mean, it's a fair question, but we need to make sure that we can trust our sources. And there has never been, as far as I know, any evidence that is accepted universally as a fact that it was a conspiracy and that we never actually did land. It was just made up. Okay, so it's the same as when people say, for example, that September the 11th, 2001 was something made up. As a matter of fact, do you want to hear what is often been claimed as the ultimate conspiracy theory and people still believe it? and I need to say this, but we don't need to talk about it, the Holocaust. There are people who believe it's just not possible for something like that, on the scale of that, to happen. And I would simply tell them, please check the evidence, and I would even direct them to one important source to help them. But this is not going to be a class about Holocaust denial, um, anti-Semitism, the clash between Jews and Muslims and Christians, and religious hatred. We're not going to do that today. But maybe if you want, we can. But check your sources. Yes,
So last thing, you don't have any doubts that we didn't go to?
no doubts.
No doubts. Okay.
Absolutely no doubt. As I have no doubt that those planes that Osama bin Laden, an Islamic fundamentalist extremist, planned out and orchestrated with others to bring down the towers in New York. That was actually real. It happened. And it was even, incredibly, if you can believe it, it was imagined beforehand. Humans actually sat down and they planned out something so huge. And even if you think it didn't happen, please take a look at your sources and you will see humans are capable of horrendous things, absolutely beyond our imagination. They will do it. Some humans, yes.
It seems that the way that we've been proceeding with this discussion around going to space, and it just seems that way to me. This isn't accusatory in any sense, but
Yep.
it is bordering on the lines of proselytizing us towards proselytizing us,
Proselytizing.
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 Yes,
Okay.
around this notion that we should go to space in the same way that people proselytize religion as a means of soothing the bombs of humanity's suffering, in a way to become oblivious of it. And by going to space, the essential function of that being ignoring human suffering on this planet.
Okay, well, let me just stop you only to say that we've covered this a lot already in terms of why we shouldn't go. And and these are absolutely valid points. And even today, when I was listening to the news coming up on the 407 driving, Jared Isaacman, the most sort of present NASA administrator, who's been most kind of vocal in supporting this mission and has been the one who held the press conference for NASA, a billionaire, a young billionaire, he had to face a couple of tough questions as well today about this very thing, which is people wondering, why are we spending all of this money? So it's out there, Ron, and we've explored that already. Okay, I want to come back to this idea that what's happening today is something that we have to do, because I wasn't clear about it last week. And and you may think when I read this that I'm proselytizing a little bit. I'm only trying to present you with another perspective, okay? Because I know that the dominant perspective in this class, from the discussion posts and the conversations and everything, is don't go, or hold back, or what's the point? So I'm going to read you something. Go ahead, Elizabeth, and then we'll, yeah, sure, take a microphone, okay? And then we're going to really watch this documentary. I want you to see something. Go ahead, Elizabeth. Yeah. Or
I believe it's PROSTELY, or something.
let's get. Are you ready? You ready to get going on the notes? Okay. So let's get the onboard going. We'll get the names up. We're even going to write the word proselytize. Okay, and we're going to do it from memory. So proselytize. Come on in. And Brandon, you're going to join us today? Yeah, you can park yourself right here. You have a spot here.
But Lon, I would like to say something briefly.
Sure.
My essential argument is that going to space can't save you. Jesus can't save you. No one can save you but you.
Yes and no. No one can save us but us working together. And what I mean, Ron, is that humans need humans. Humans need humans to save themselves. Nobody lives on an island. Nobody lives in a vacuum. We all need each other. Now, Elizabeth, is there something you want to say? No? Proselyte. Okay, let's do first. Let's get the names, and then I'm going to try and do it from memory, and then let's see if I can do it. Okay. So first we have Hanin. Yeah, Hanin Sheila, right? Sheila. Okay. So Hanin is just one Hanin. We have Elizabeth. We have Dimitri. We have Ron, Daniel, and we have Brandon. Okay. So uh, go ahead. Let's get the onboard done first. And for those in the Cosmos, Angelique, just go ahead and write your full name. Same with you, Carol. Let's just make sure this is working properly. Okay. So, is there anything you want to say as we're doing this, Angelique, Carol? You can jump on your microphone. Great.
Hello?
Okay. Yeah, good, Carol.
Hello?
Yep. And I'm just
Yep.
going to put your rover that you gave to me a few years ago. I'm going to make sure that this little rover gets prominently,
Yeah.
okay, for everybody to see. And you can, it's sort of working, but there you go. This is what Carol gave me. That's a rover, a human machine to explore a celestial body. Now we need to do proselytize. After we get those done, then I'm going to speak briefly with Carl Sagan, and then we're going to watch a documentary, and then we're going to really make sure we get those cards. So, proselytize. Okay, proselytize. P-R-O-S, P-R-O-S, and then it's L-E-T-Y-Z-E, proselytize. P-R-O-S-L, proselytize, L-E-T, proselytize, T-Y-Z-E. Okay, let me try. Is it an I instead of an E? It's a Y after the L. Proselyte, so proselytize, and then it's another Y, T-Y-Z, proselytize, T-I-Z-E. There we go. So P-R-O-S-L-Y-T-I-Z-E. Proselytize. Oh, that's where it gets tricky. After the Y, is there an E? Proselytizes. Oh, E-L-Y-T. Wow, that's good. Okay, thanks. Come on, Brandon, if you want to get closer, are you okay there? You can sit there. Okay. Oh, S, P-R-O-S, P-R-O-S. Oh, wow. That is a tough one. So you had pronounced it that way. Yeah. But we don't proselytize. Yes, we proselytize, but we also say proselytize, but proselytize would be the most correct way of pronouncing it. Okay. So Ron is on the record for everybody who will be watching the recording, because I think this is going to be definitely a recording class, because there's a few people in the nucleus, just 2 in the cosmos, so a lot will be watching the recording. Ron has said, in case you missed it, that he feels that there's a lot of proselytizing going on right now around we should go. Is that fair? Okay, you're going to hear even more of it right now, but we're going to make sure that by the end of the class, we're going to have these multiple perspectives really clearly written out. Why we shouldn't, why we should, maybe why we should wait, why we must. But I need to finally feel that I've done enough to proselytize. Okay? But that doesn't mean I have to convince. It's just, here we go. with tech again and this thing today. Just stay. Don't move around. I'm going to just be. I said that after we watched an individual who has been one of the foremost scholars and visionaries around space exploration, who wrote these very famous words called Pale Blue Dot, based on him having seen the planet from such a great distance. In that video, he seemed to be warning us.
Oh. Hello,
Actually,
the audio's on.
Yeah, now you can hear me. Okay. Thankfully, there is a human here in the room, myself and many other humans, who are much smarter than these stupid little devices. And this human knows how to do a workaround. So Carl Sagan said in that video that we have to be very careful in what we do on the planet because that's all we have. And then I said afterwards that really what he's saying is we must go. And there was confusion around that. And here's the justification for why I said that, okay? In the beginning of his book, Pale Blue Dot, he has a chapter called Wanderers, an introduction. And I'd just like to read this, a few paragraphs, just to give you a sense of why we must honor this part of ourselves. I wouldn't say at all costs, but I would say that we must honor this part of ourselves, or there probably won't be civilization. We were wanderers from the beginning. We knew every stand of tree for 100 miles. When the fruits or nuts were ripe, we were there. We followed the herds in their annual migrations. We rejoiced in fresh meat. Through stealth, feint, ambush, and main force assault, a few of us cooperating accomplished what many of us, each hunting alone, could not. We depended on one another. Making it on our own was as ludicrous to imagine as was settling down. I'm just going to read that final line for Ron right now, just to make him think a little bit. I'm going to continue. Making it on our own was as ludicrous to imagine as was settling down. And this is lawn into major proselytizing, okay? But that's done warmly, constructively, because I like to challenge my students. Working together, we protected our children from the lions and the hyenas. We taught them the skills they would need and the tools. Then as now, technology was the key to our survival. When the drought was prolonged, or when an unsettling chill lingered in the summer air, our group moved on, sometimes to unknown lands. We sought a better place. And when we couldn't get on with the others in our little nomadic band, we left to find a more friendly bunch somewhere else. We could always begin again. For 99% of the time since our species came to be, we were hunters and foragers, wanderers on the savannas and the steppes. There were no border guards then, no customs officials. The frontier was everywhere. We were bounded only by the earth and the ocean and the sky, plus occasional grumpy neighbors. That's the United States these days. They're our grumpy neighbors. Go to hell, grumpy neighbors. We're going to move on. When the climate was congenial, though, when the food was plentiful, we were willing to stay put. Unadventurous, overweight, careless. In the last 10,000 years, an instant in our long history, we've abandoned the nomadic life. We've domesticated the plants and animals. Why chase the food when you can make it come to you? For all its material advantages, the sedentary life has left us edgy, unfulfilled. Even after 400 generations in villages and cities, we haven't forgotten. The open road still softly calls, like a nearly forgotten song of childhood. We invest far off places with a certain romance. The appeal, I suspect, has been meticulously crafted by natural selection as an element in our survival. Just read this final line here. I'm going to stop, okay? The appeal of the open road, the adventure. Let's go there because it's there. This is just me riffing now, talking off the top of my nonsensical head. The appeal, I suspect, has been meticulously crafted by natural selection as an essential element in our survival. So, is it possible that we must go because that's what we're meant to do? That's what God intends for us. That's what our purpose is, to be adventurous and go there. That's how we survive. We keep wondering, seeking, looking for something better, moving on because it's there. If we can go, we'll go. And maybe we'll find something better. Maybe we won't. But you can't stop that in the human. Because if you do, you stop something very dangerous that could stagnate us. Just the way that maybe it would stagnate all of us here if we didn't decide to come back to school. For all the older students here, and there are many mature students, mothers, fathers, and others who say, I'm going to go back to school and pursue something new, something better. I think they're all kind of connected. Okay, that's my proselytizing. Now, I'm going to stop, and let's see what the rabble says. The assembled rabble here, grumpy, suspicious, but nonetheless with the same intelligence that I have, and for whom I have great respect, always. Go ahead.
What about a bunch of self-imported billionaires who leech off the blood of the poor, to fund these self-important space missions says about togetherness and community and human evolution? Because I can't see it, Lon.
Yep. That turns my stomach too, Ron, when I hear that nonsense. But I'm talking about something deeper here. I'm actually even saying that they, the Jared Isaacmans, the Elon Musks, the Jeff Bezoses, and all these billionaires that I have very little time for too, happen to have a human desire too to go further. And on that, we're all the same. So maybe they're doing their pursuit of something more with what they have. You and I have less, but we can still be pursuing and exploring and being adventurous. Otherwise, we won't grow. We just stagnate. Yes.
So that was my one point.
Yes.
I already made it. The other point is exploring, pursuing, and moving to new frontiers doesn't necessarily mean in this direction. There are other ways we can move forward or move on.
Yes.
Without necessarily going to space. For example, move on to renewable energy just because we can. This could be a new frontier.
Would you agree? It's okay. So new worlds going into space can mean something more, as I've tried to say in the last few weeks, but maybe not strongly enough. In the end, I am an advocate of space exploration, no question. But in a broader way, yes, I'm an advocate of new worlds, always. And I'm an advocate, the proselytizer of what Alfred North Whitehead has said. In my short history of the world class, I talk a lot about this, that humans cannot create civilization unless they're adventurous. We could not have created cities and developed ourselves unless we followed animals out of Africa 100,000 years ago. If we had decided that we wanted more, if we had stayed put, we would not have been able to explore the planet. And as a result, begin to settle down around rivers and elsewhere and begin civilizations. So that adventurous spirit, I think, is ultimately what I'm proselytizing for, Ron. Adventurous, always. Go there. Space, somewhere else, don't be afraid. Okay. I don't think you are. I'm just saying it more kind of abstractly in general. I'm not saying that you are that. I'm saying more generally that those who don't want to seek more are probably afraid of seeing something new that's going to test them. And they'd rather not be tested. They'd rather be secure. Okay, Elizabeth?
I have like 2.5 points to make. One was building
2.5
off,
points?
yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember all of them, but one was building off Dimitri's, where it's like doesn't have to be, just because we're growing, doesn't have to be a specific direction. We don't have to go to space. We can grow here. And something you've mentioned as well, Lon, was building off another student, Georgia. She had said the way forward or something is not outwards, but in.
Yes,
Space is very much out,
this is true.
for that example. And then the other side of it, part of the passage you read, the paragraph,
Yes.
the quote you read from the book, it's not the Bible, but was that when humans have enough and they don't need to move, then they'll stay put. And then it said like stagnate and get fat and whatever, sure. But what I sort of took from that is the only time we are, or in this context, the only time we're adventurous and want to move out is when our survival is at stake. So when our basic needs aren't met, that's when we go and do stuff.
Yes and no, because
Yes
I
and
will
no,
introduce you to a thought. Okay, finish. Sorry, I don't want to stop. I can introduce you to a thought.
And then the third one is sort of a mix of those 2 points, which is we can grow and be adventurous, well, without going to space, but never mind. Okay. I haven't developed that last thought enough, but yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I would just say one thing, and then I want to show you this little documentary, and then we'll start getting some really good notes for Trinity to help us. There is a scholar I often quote in Short History of the World. He's written a very well-known book called Guns, Germs, and Steel, Jared Diamond. He's written also Collapse and The Third Chimpanzee and others, and he is a kind of world historian, scholar. And he writes about how invention is the mother of necessity, more often than the other way around. I'd like you to think about that, because often we labor under this idea that necessity is the mother of an invention. But actually, it's not, Elizabeth. In human history, the human insatiable curiosity, the restless imagination that just wants to know more and seek more and wander over there and play around until suddenly you've invented something. That's called play. And it's something we humans like to do. At any rate, let me just stop for a second, okay? Because today is a way we're going to bring these different views together and make sure that they are enshrined in notes that can be used maybe for your second assignment if none of you have begun it, which is due tomorrow night. Okay, so you may find you want to write your second assignment on today's class. Great, when everything's fresh in your mind, you don't have to go review anything. You can just go home and write about this class, and that's your assignment. I'm not proselytizing, and I shouldn't have said what I just said because I'm helping you to do less work rather than more work, but I'm on your side. But this video, this documentary, you must see only because it really captures something about this spirit, this age in which we've entered. And it also had a profound influence on me in terms of the event described. You've already heard me talk about this moment in 1968 when I was 6 years old, when we began to go to the moon in the great Apollo missions of the 1960s that all stopped in 1972, and now 53 years later, we're going back. Well, actually, that moment in 1968, when we first saw the planet whole for the first time, called Earthrise, has been chronicled in a short 20-minute documentary in which the filmmaker talked to the astronauts who were on that mission. I'd like you to see this, and largely because of what I just said, but also because when they went in 1968 to orbit the moon, this is 6 months before Neil Armstrong and the others walked on the moon. They weren't planning to see what they saw, but they saw it, which was the planet. It's possible that in this mission, if they get launched in the next 10 days, they are going to be sending back things to humanity that we have never seen. And it's going to be very interesting in how this is going to impact our minds. I just want you to see this, how this impacted minds in 1968. It's called the psychological wrench. The psychological wrench. So here we go. For those of you in the cosmos, go ahead and click on what I have put into the live chat, the Earthrise documentary, okay? Angelique and Julie and Rashita and Carol, you can see it there in the live chat. I'm going to dim the lights here. I'm going to let everybody watch this like a little movie in our theater with tech working, and then we will continue. So I have it teed up here. Nothing's going to happen in Florida.
Hello? Actually, I think the audio got cut.
Okay, it should be okay now. So, are you okay? Angelique, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now. It just went
Okay.
off for a little bit.
Yeah, sorry. So go ahead and click on the link Earthrise in live chat, the documentary for 20 minutes. Please watch it, and then we will return together to finish. Okay? All right, so let's, can you do me a favor, Trinity? You see that little console there? Just open it, the gray one, and press the button at the bottom. It will automatically bring the blind. See the on the left, to your left? Yeah, open it. You'll see you just, that's right. At the bottom, just press that, and there should be an, yep. Here come the blinds. Nice. Okay, here we go.
Oh, actually, hello? Can't really hear the audio on the TV.
I'm going to come back to the, just a second, and I'm going to put the lights up, and I want you to get ready to do some big thinking now, and then we're going to, and I have this working now, so let's see what, okay, so hi Cosmos, you should be able to hear me clearly. Angelique, all good? Yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay,
So,
great.
yeah.
So let's just bring up these guys, and then we're going to do the final part of today's class. I seem to have lost our live stream. What- What's that? Oh, say just a second. Okay, YouTube. Okay, so Artemis to live stream official broadcast. Artemis. Whoops. Artemis. Artemis to live stream official broadcast. And we'll just keep this up behind us. Okay, good. So there they still are. Right? Ooh. All right. No, just a second. These guys. And no, that's not what I want. I want the NASA, but we'll leave that for now. That's good enough. And first, does anyone know what Artemis means? And Apollo? Are they related in any way? Let's start to get this down before we finally make sense of all of this. Artemis and Apollo. Well, I can tell you, but no checking. Let's just do it from memory. Why is it that whenever we talk about going into space, we go back to the Greeks? This epic mythology, something it invokes in the human soul. Apollo was the son of Zeus, the great Greek god, who was the master god. And Artemis was the sister, was the daughter of Zeus. So Apollo and Artemis are siblings. And in the original Apollo missions in the 1960s, which you just saw, one Apollo 8 of, I think there were 13 missions, that was all about men. But now here we have Artemis, and it's more about women because the two siblings represented something noble and high in the human experience. Apollo is sort of the god of good sense, of mastering archery and shooting and sports, of art and music and all the sort of cultural, artistic, lofty, noble things in the human being. And Artemis is a goddess. And she also represents many of these qualities too, but there are other qualities I'm not entirely certain of. I haven't done all my research yet. But Apollo and Artemis are siblings in the Greek pantheon of gods, the children of Zeus. And that's why it's important that when you look at the woman, for example, who's accompanying the four, we see her. She's going to be the first woman to have ever gone so far in space in history. Because when we talk about where they're going to the moon, it's something like 10 or 12 times the distance of what the space station was. The space station was in lower orbit. It was about 400 kilometers, the altitude. But the moon, where they're going, is 10 times, 12 times that distance. So they're going into deep space. We haven't gone into deep space since the Apollo missions in the 1960s and 70s. Now, here's what I want you to do, okay? Since we have a small group, I'm going to slightly tweak the lesson plan so that we're going to do it as follows. I'd like each of you, Daniel, Haneen, Elizabeth, Ron, Dimitri, Ryan, Brandon, although the ones who are officially registered have priority here in how this plays out. So it's going to be Daniel, it's going to be Haneen, it's going to be Elizabeth and Ron. And I'm going to ask each of you to go up to the board in a moment. You're going to take the pen from Trinity and you're going to make a declaration. You're going to write out as best you can what you believe. Do we go? Do we not go? Must we go? Or should it be something else? But I want you to write it and enshrine it in words. So you have to commit to your thought. And then one day, maybe a few weeks, a few years, you come back to that and see whether you still agree with what you declared and whether life has changed you or something else. But I don't think if I asked you to go back to those words in 3 weeks or 4 weeks in class 14, much will have changed. But maybe because over the next 10 days, if these guys get up there into space tonight, which is the plan, and they launch on the most powerful rocket ever designed for any human being, and they're pushed with all that liquid hydrogen and oxygen that's going to be powering that rocket. It's more powerful than anything we've ever created. It's going to push them up into orbit. That's why it's so much fuel and so much power, because it's pushing that into space where then all those booster rockets that help power that fade away, and then the booster part separates from the module, and then gravity takes over. Gravity from the moon will start pulling the module and the 4 humans closer and closer to it. If all of that goes as planned, they're going to be there for 10 days. And they're going to go around the moon. And they're going to go to parts of the moon, many parts that were never seen by all of the Apollo missions in the 1960s. And you can bet that there's going to be millions of people and millions around the world who are going to be crashing the website trying to see in real time, what are they seeing now? But there will be some who won't. So maybe that will change what you write there now. Maybe not. But for a little bit of an exercise, it will be fun. What you write now, we will come back to in the final class, and let's see what happens, okay? But for now, I'm going to let Trinity rest for a little bit and get ready. And I'd like you all to think about what you would write. You can fill up one slide, and you have to write it, Ron. And then here's your perspective. Elizabeth, here's your perspective. Haneen and Daniel. And the 4 of you, I'd like you to do that, 1 card each, and you're going to have each about, you can think about it now, but once you get up there, you got to move. You got to start writing. So do your thinking now. Do your thinking now about kind of more or less what you want to say. Must we go? Because we have to keep being curious to be able to show humanity, to show everybody what is discovered. Let's wait. Maybe we should, but there are other concerns that we have to take into account, or any other perspective. But the only thing I would say to you now is, in that picture that was brought back in the 1960s, Earthrise, do you think that that was about billionaires in the end, in terms of what was given to humanity? Well, I'm not so sure. We're going. Okay. Well, let's see. Okay. The picture. The picture. Every single human being on this planet now has access to that picture, and it's one of the most famous pictures ever taken. Surely that has impacted us. But anyways, okay. So who's ready to go start writing? And I'll I'll help you to write it so you can write it clearly, because this pen, okay, so Ron. Okay, and then have you written here before? Do you want to? Okay, good. So go ahead and just start writing, okay? And while you're doing that, I'm going to, please write clearly so we will be able to read this. And let me get this real-time countdown and see how it's going. Okay. Hold on, and I'll come to you, Ryan, in a second. I just want to tee this up. Okay. If it's, yeah, it's a very good idea as long as it's working, and I'll check in with the Cosmos. So, this. Okay. What do they got? Let's see CNN's coverage. Do you have anything? Ooh, what's this? Okay. Hold on. Just a second. Somebody's playing. No. No, we don't want that. That we don't care about. Okay, guys? That's CNN, and that would be something we would see on Fox, and we have no interest in that stuff. We're going to go a little bit bigger than that. Okay? So, NASA official broadcast Artemis 2. Okay. Oh. Okay, yeah, you see, this is the jingoistic part that one of the astronauts was referring to in that video, that he wished it wouldn't become that. A jingoistic, nationalistic, country beating, we win, you lose type of, and yeah, so. Yeah, so, well, we will come back and just keep a little bit of this. Let's just run this. This to me is the human experience. The other stuff is just the MAGA people screaming. Okay. Okay, so when Ron is done, who's, Dan, you're going to go next? Okay. Do you have a sense of what you want to write? But what you could do is you could write it down now, just a rough draft, so that when you go there, you will be fast. Go ahead. Take a few moments. Write it on your phone or someplace, and we'll see if there's time for Trinity to write something too, but you've done lots of writing. Okay. The exploration. So this is Ron's declaration. Yes, I want you to. And take a microphone. Okay, take a microphone. So we have it on the recording.
Check.
All right.
Okay.
Well.
And turn it on.
Hello. Oh. Wait. You got the levels down on the mics in general.
Go.
Oh, okay. All right. So what I wrote is, the exploration of space should not be about conquest or control. A part in helping towards this is minding the issues we have on this planet and approaching space exploration and research to address it. And I quoted Timothy Leary, outside looking in.
Outside. So then, should we go or no?
If we mind all these principles that I just described, I have no aversion towards going at all.
Well, then we must write that down, because that's what it's about. If we can, could you write the final part down on that? And then Elizabeth is going to go, and then Daniel and Haneen, and then we'll see what we have time for. But we only have 15 minutes left. And Angelique and Harshika, let's see who's there. Okay. So Angelique. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay. Good. We if we consider all this. Do you know how to do the swipe? Okay. Elizabeth. Carol, can you hear? Oh, I don't think so. Hold on. I'll do it this way. Carol? We will inevitably go. Nice. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It's just a question of when. Good. Okay. I will probably be happy about it. Okay. We will inevitably go. All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. There is enough to think about, which is the word inevitable. Good. Daniel? But Elizabeth, we'll leave it to you to continue to think about this as you react to people's posts, because you've been writing some good reactions to, particularly, there is a student in this class who is writing a lot, and she is really good, and that's Emily Lee. It's too bad she didn't join us today. But if you want to read a student who is really, really engaged and is writing really well, and is writing with her own words and not AI, read Emily Lee's posts, because Elizabeth has been responding to them. It's good. Speaking, speaking of which, yeah, I'm gonna. tech is being just a little bit. Okay. Hi, Angelique. You're back. Do you want to unmute yourself? Great. Okay.
Yeah, I'm back.
Good. So here's what we're doing for the final part. I'm just going to show you what Daniel is doing right now. I'll bring the camera over to him. You will see it there
Mhm.
backwards, but it reverses itself on YouTube. He's writing a brief declaration, as the other students in person have done today, of their final answer to the question, should we be going into space now or not? And why we should or why we shouldn't, or why we must go or why we mustn't. But Elizabeth has written her declaration. Daniel's done his. Haneen is going to do hers shortly. Ron's done his, and Trinity's going to do hers. Could you, in the live chat, as best you can, with nice, clear sentences, each sentence a nice, clear, independent thought with a period, like nicely written, explain your answer to this question? Should we be exploring the moon now? Okay. And we're going to finish up our space exploration section that we've been spending a lot of time on today with these declarations from each of the students. So please go ahead, and you can put that in the live chat. But really, if you can, try and write it out in advance as a rough draft, and then put the polished draft into the live chat so it's well written. And think of this as a dress rehearsal for the way you're going to write your second assignment or your third assignment. Good sentences. Okay? Good sentences. All right. So look at this. Daniel is nice. And his CPA. I don't doubt that we'll go. It is inevitable, but it should be done for the greater good of all of humanity in hope and not in fear or selfishness, external pressure. Nice handwriting, nice and clear. I realize we need a deeper sense of unity in the world, and I can see how this can remind us of our true place being on this small planet together. So if this can give us hope and deter from hope, hope. That is one of the most powerful human needs and desires. And even blind hope is not bad. People who've suffered and gone through terrible experiences will tell you that blind hope is actually a way that can help you get through a difficult experience. Blind hope. Blind faith. Listen, don't a lot of people follow religions in this world based on blind faith? It seems to help them. All right, go for it. Daniel, only fill up one card. And Haneen's waiting, and I'll make sure I save this. And let's see, Angelique, she's
Yeah.
thinking. Good, good. Way to go, Daniel. Lovely. Okay, so let me help Haneen. Have you been on the board yet, Haneen? Have you written? So, okay, so then, Haneen. And just, you can write nice and then you can just rub it off like that, okay? So let's see. So go ahead and start. I can help you if you need with the writing. Good. Okay. Great. Okay. Let's see if the Star Spangled Banner has ended. That would be really nice. We don't need that right now. Okay. So let's go for it. We don't want that. We just want some science, and we want to know what's going on. So, ooh. Oops, let me get the music. There we go. So we're back to 2 hours. Yeah, it's inevitable, isn't it? Okay, so Angelique's going to put hers in. I'm going to get Trinity to do hers after Haneen's, and then we are done. Second assignment. If you haven't submitted it yet, it's due tomorrow by 11:59. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's okay. No problem. I know that whatever other thoughts you have are going to come out in your discussion posts and assignment too. So not to worry. Yeah. Mhm. I take it Jeremy Hansen has a nice patch of an indigenous nation on his spacesuit, by the way. I would like to show it. For any of you who are interested in some interesting little bit of details. Jeremy Hansen's patch. Let's see. Jeremy Hansen's patch. There it is. This is the patch. Let's see. So yeah, on his spacesuit. Yeah. Great, Haneen. Thank you. Okay, I have a conflict between should or shouldn't go. On one hand, we need. Okay, I'll come back to it. I'll save that. Okay, Trinity, final one. And then this is Chris Nat night. It's That's the patch. Let's see. So there's the space part in the. Great. Let's see, Angelique. Great, Angelique. I think we should stay here. We'd love to be closer to family, friends. Being isolated for too long is not good sometimes. I don't do well with distance. We can still learn to love where we are in adapted space will always be something we can just look up to. I'll stay here. What? Yeah. Okay, great. Good. Thank you. Well, I think I'm going to let Trinity write to the end, and I want to make sure we have this down for everyone. But we are coming to the conclusion of the class. We're running a little bit late, but if you need to go, you are welcome to. I'm going to save everything and make sure it's all available for the asynchronous students. And I'll make sure Trinity's comment is saved. So, all good. Anybody have anything they want to say to me before we
I kind of had a question about our assignment number 2.
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
And I actually went to like a today. I made an appointment with the writing specialist. I guess I was just like, how can I format this better so he'll like
Great.
it and be impressed with it? But
Well, when you
then,
say, what do you mean format? So can you be more specific?
sometimes my structure or like my idea placements are always not like in the right places, or so I went to just having that like a proper way of saying it. But then she was saying about how we have to include our class, like what you said, we have to include our class. And then for me, what I wanted to do was one of our first classes was like the future. But what I wanted to focus on was like some of my opinion wasn't like in the class that much. I only made like a couple comments, but
yes.
So I guess it's also kind of like I can just elaborate what I did say, because even though it wasn't a whole lot, I can still just include what I did say.
For sure. And remember, what you're doing is you're explaining why you chose that class over other classes to write about. And that, and in that why, you will then tell us about what you're beginning to tell me now. And just one of the things I would say is please continue to think about your sentences, because that's one thing I've noticed that you need to work on. You have a lot to say, and it's great. But sometimes I've noticed, at least in the discussion post, and this is quite common with other students too, is that you'll tell us a lot, and the sentences sometimes are running on, and there's 3 or 4 sentences all squished together into one sentence, and you haven't punctuated it, and it gets confusing. But I never. One thing I like about the way you write is I would never feel that you have farmed out your brain to AI. You're always writing authentically, and this is really important, because one of the problems I'm having increasingly in all my classes is students are writing too well without much content from the classes. So to me, when I see those two things, perfectly written, flawless sentences and content that is not specific to the class, then I immediately have alarm bells going off, which is this student has just farmed this out to AI. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Ron. I'm here. Okay. If you need me. Yeah, sure. So that's never an issue with you, Angelique, at all. I've never noticed. Just think about proofreading. That will really help you. And one of the things I often advise is before you press submit, print out a hard copy and
Mhm.
read the hard copy in your hand, and you will immediately see things that you don't see on the screen, and you can edit yourself more effectively. So I don't know if you've
Mhm.
ever tried that. Do you ever edit on a hard
Yeah.
copy? That will help you to notice where you're not being as clear, your sentences are running on, and where you need to put a period or a comma so that it's more clear. That's it. But for example, what you just wrote in the live chat is good. It's nice and clear. Simple
Mhm.
sentences, the best one clear thought per sentence, put a period on it, move on to the next thought, put a period on it.
Mhm.
Okay? But in terms of format, most importantly, I'm looking for well-written sentences, clear thinking. If you're asking a structural question about, what arrangement should your paragraphs be in, don't worry about that right now. Just concentrate on the clarity of every single sentence. Okay?
Mhm.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense, or do you need anything else?
Just that. I think she also mentioned how I think she said like your rubric was just very like vague. I guess.
Okay,
So,
in terms of the what I'm looking for, yes,
yeah.
it's more broad because I've learned that if it's too detailed, students feel constrained. So
Yeah.
essentially, there's a marking scheme, and it's out of 10 or it's out of 20, I
Mhm.
should say. And if you look at that, if you look at each part of whether you would receive 19 out of 20 or 18 or 17, take a look at how I define those things that I'm looking for in
Mhm.
each category. Integration of
Yeah.
course material,
Mhm.
clarity of thought.
Mhm.
Those are things I'm looking for, particularly
Mhm.
integration of course material.
Yeah.
So the, you're talking about the ideas in
Mhm.
the course, but I'm not
Mhm.
asking you to provide me with um, a clear structure, in
Mhm.
which paragraph 1 has to contain a topic sentence, and paragraph 2 has to contain, the
Mhm.
first example. I don't do that at this level because there are a lot of students who want to be writing more creatively,
Mhm.
and so I want to give them that opportunity. But the critical
Mhm.
thing is that you're referring to the ideas that we've covered in the course, and that every sentence is clear.
Mhm.
So I understand what you're trying to say.
Mhm.
That's it for now.
Mhm.
And the one independent source outside of the class that you refer to, you've done
Mhm.
some research and you
Mhm.
provide one independent source.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Well, thanks.
Okay? But
Okay.
please proofread,
Mhm.
meaning read what you've written
Yeah.
on a piece of paper, and if you can, read the sentences out loud to yourself. That way you will know when you're sounding not clear.
Mhm.
These are effective techniques for writing better.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay.
And
Well, thanks.
if you need an
Yeah.
extension, I give every student one extension for the semester. So if you need it, just let me know. Send me an email, okay?
And
Great.
do you want to say hi to somebody?
Is it is it the dog or is it the rabbit?
The rabbit.
Hello. Yeah, it's a rabbit.
Yeah. Say hi,
Dimitri's going to
Chestnut.
say hi. I'm going to check. Hold on with Trinity's. Good. Thank you, Trinity. Have a good week. I'll see you soon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Come on. Out of low mode. Out of low mode. Hop. Hop. There he
We are
goes. He's
hope.
hopping.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. I'm going to
Mhm.
disconnect,
Okay.
and you can always shoot me an email, okay?
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, Carol.
Bye.
Okay, Haneen. Here.